Retirement Lifestyle Show is back with a great episode. Our topic today, Law of the Land, Financial Edition. These are unwritten life rules that often shape our decisions more than numbers ever could. Law of the Land, Financial Edition. Number one I have on my list is fear brings it closer. The more you fear something, the more likely it is to happen. I think it's typical that we sometimes tend to worry about things that normally never happen. Ironically, those reactions brought forth by fear sometimes increase the likelihood of these things actually happening. Yes, I know it's important. We have to acknowledge some of the bad things that go on or some things that we fear, but sometimes we cannot let that dictate our strategy. We can't let that uproot the plan that we have in place and really derail from the track that we are on. So this is the first rule of the law of the land that I think is very vital for us to understand how sometimes things that we fear bring them a lot closer and can make them a reality. And when we tend to worry about things, that sometimes just never happen. So that's what you got to really focus on, is not letting that take away from a strategy that you have in place or a plan that you have in place, but it's also important to acknowledge it. So I'm going to move on to our second one, and this is one of my favorite ones. This is write it down, cut it in half. If you write down a problem that you have, congrats, you solved half of it right there. Sometimes getting thoughts out of our head and onto paper or your phone, a whiteboard, or ChatGPT can give you a lot more clarity that I think is really important for people nowadays to sometimes when you're definitely juggling with a lot of different issues or problems, like I said, get it down on paper, write it on a whiteboard, and that day, every day, you can visualize a way to see how you can complete this task or find a solution. So, like I said, congratulations. If you just take note of it, write it down, get it somewhere where you can see it, that will lead you to become a better problem solver. And like I said, you're halfway through the issue right then and there when you just get it down. This could also help you keep track of it. And sometimes you won't forget about it. And that sometimes can be really good if you have a very busy week or month. Having things laid out for you where you don't have to take that extra brain power to remember it and figure out how you can complete it can be very helpful. This will also help you see certain patterns or options and figure out what the next steps are for you to become very successful and succeed with whatever issues or problems you're tackling. So we've already covered two major things that I think are very vital to this episode called Law of the Land Financial Edition. Number one, fear brings it closer. And number two, write it down, cut it in half. And again, these are just some of the unwritten rules that I'm going to discuss today that I think are very vital and very meaningful to help people out there with whatever goals or whatever issues they're facing, just so you can survive and thrive with whatever task or challenges that you're facing. I think these, in my opinion, are very important and even helped me with my personal journey, whether it's in my career, relationships, whatever it may be. This is just a very powerful tool for you to progress further in life and really achieve your goals and focus and take on any challenges that come your way. So we're going to move on to number three, own the outcome. When you take on a task, you are responsible for the best way to complete it. And sometimes it's not about just doing it your way, it's about doing it the right way. And I think a good quote for this law of the land piece, which is number three, own the outcome, is be a steward, not just a doer. And what I mean by this is whenever you have a task or a problem, I think sometimes we can become very fixated on, okay, how are we actually going to solve this? How are we going to get to the end goal? How are we going to complete this task? And that end goal, or what you're trying to focus on completing, can sometimes override the whole process. And what I mean by this, we think about the starting point, let's just call this the letter A, and we think about the ending point, which is the letter Z. But there's a lot more letters, a lot more that goes in between. And about how you get there is sometimes the most important part about the actual end goal or completing the task. Because whether you're on a team, for example, let's just do a team project. If your team is tasked with completing a certain project and you all ultimately meet the deadline, you complete the project, That's great, but let's just say there was a lot of issues during it, or a lot of conflict within the team, or certain resources or programs weren't really used or were overused on the project, and it wasn't done in an efficient way. Was that really the best outcome? Yes, it got done at the end of the day, but how you get there is also just important on completing the task. So own the outcome. Don't just focus on how you complete it, but just figure out the right way to do it and the best way to do it, especially if more people are involved in it. So I know we're moving pretty quickly here, but I'll just keep summarizing the unwritten rules and we can dive deeper on a later episode. But I just want you to have a track record of it, where number one is fear brings it closer. The more we fear something, the more likely it is to happen. Number two, write it down, cut it in half. Any issues or problems that you're facing, write it down. That'll give you a clear visualization on how you can complete it, and just makes things in your mind become more of a reality and gives you maybe steps or options on how to complete it. And number three, own the outcome. Don't just figure out how to do something, figure out what is the best way to do it. So I'm going to move on to number four, the fourth law in this episode, which is prioritize knowledge, then successful follow. This law is called learn first, succeed second. And the description I gave for this is prioritize knowledge, then successful follow. This can especially matter where it comes to a retirement plan or any phases or life changes that you have. When your decisions are based on real understanding, you can save more, you can lose less, you can make better decisions. That's why prioritizing knowledge is key. And this could be very similar to the previous law that we talked about before, own the outcome. Because again, prioritizing knowledge, then successful follow. The key here is not focusing on that end goal like I talked about first. How are we going to create the best retirement plan for myself? How are we going to find the best investment strategy? How are we going to achieve some financial goal? We're really focused on the how, or how we're going to get to that end, where you really need to focus on the knowledge part. All right, how to build a proper retirement plan. What are all the components that go into a proper retirement plan? Now moving on to the investment strategy. What are some investment strategies that have done well? What are some newer ones? What is the research, the data, the historical track record, the management that has led to good investment strategies? And what are some tools or maybe ideas that I can pull from each of these strategies to help me succeed? Financial goal. What's a financial goal I have? How do people typically achieve this goal? What has worked? What has not worked? So what I'm laying out here is the key points, the knowledge, the research, the looking into it. And if you do that, like we mentioned plenty of times before on this podcast, do your homework, then that could give you a clear path on how you can achieve that goal and how you can succeed. Where the opposite would be is, okay, how can I get the best performance, or how can I retire early, or how can I achieve this goal of hitting this certain target amount and then work backwards? Or sometimes you got to learn first, see what works, do your research, do your homework, and that can get you better to that goal that you want. So I'm going to move us on to our last law of the land piece, which is called don't decide unless you must. And this is a very big one and a very important one. And this is, I think, one of the best ones on this list, because today and a lot of times in your career or your retirement or your life, you are faced with a lot of decisions. And sometimes, we like to think we always make the right decisions. We make the best decisions. But sometimes that's not always the case. We definitely don't live in a perfect world where we sometimes don't make the best decisions. Sometimes not making a decision can be the best decision. And if you don't have to make a decision, don't. And I'm by no means saying you have to just ignore things or ignore the situations. We'll get into that earlier. But this law is called don't decide unless you must. So not requiring everything to go in a certain way for you on this one is not everything requires action. Sometimes the best move is patient. Not making a choice is different from ignoring a situation. It's about avoiding forced decisions when the timing or information just isn't right. And a good rule of thumb is if the window isn't closing, keep observing. And this is just to keep any emotional decision making to happen, making quick decisions, and just letting things really play out where you can make the most informed decision. I think is really the heart of this law to keep you from making, like I said, any quick reactions or quick decisions. So I'm just going to give a rundown and a summary of all four of the laws that we put into place here that I think are just really good unwritten rules that can help us shape our better decision making process more than numbers could, more than spreadsheets or projections could, because ultimately you might be at a point where you have to make a lot of decisions, go through a lot of trials, challenges, or achieve some goals. And I think these are five great ones that can help you keep in the back of your mind to help you survive and thrive and to push forward and to achieve. So the first one, fear brings it closer. We tend to worry about things that normally don't happen. And if we let that fear take us over, it can bring the actual thing we don't want into reality. But it's important to acknowledge fear, but don't let it dictate you from strategy. Don't let it pull you off course. And ultimately, don't give it the power that we typically sometimes feel it. Next, write it down, cut it in half. Again, that gets you almost to succeeding and completing the goal right there by writing it down, whether it's on a piece of paper, typing it on your phone, writing it on a whiteboard, or using ChatGPT to give you a quick rule of thumb or quick solution on there. Just finding patterns and options and the next steps to achieving this problem. Number three, own the outcome. Again, this is being a steward, just not a doer. When you take on a task, find the best way to complete it. Just don't figure out how to kind of just complete it and move on. Four, learn first, succeed second. This is where you are prioritizing knowledge, then success will follow. And then the last one, don't decide unless you must. Sometimes being patient is the best thing that you can do for yourself. And again, these are some unwritten financial rules. They're big life rules if you think about it, where it can deal with a lot of things like fear, clarity, responsibility, learning, and timing. And I think these are five principles that are very valuable that really bake into a lot of the episodes that we've talked about here on the Retirement Lifestyle Show that can help you navigate the ups and downs in life with confidence and, again, make those better decisions, was what we ultimately all want to do. So those are the five laws of the land, the financial edition. And again, this can cover a lot of different areas like retirement, investing, personal finance, your lifestyle. So we definitely covered a lot today, and we can go to a lot of examples and stories to these five, but I definitely want to get these rules out to you all, our viewers and listeners, because I think it can be very helpful with everything that's going on right now to help you just have a successful year. And again, this is the Retirement Lifestyle Show. I'm your co-host, Adrian Nicholson. Please like and subscribe. Give us 5 stars. We've been going strong for 6 years with just giving you the best content we can give you when it comes to your retirement, your finances, your investment strategies, whatever circumstances or challenges you're facing in your life. We try to tailor these episodes as best we can to you and just give you actionable things to help you with whatever situation or whatever phases that you're going on through in life, because there are a lot of different challenges and decisions and goals that people are trying to reach out of there. And it's hard to cover them all. We have a plethora of episodes out there that go all the way back to, I think it's like 2019 when we first started the Retirement Lifestyle Show. So there's a lot of great content in there. If you have any questions, our show notes is in the description on the episode. You can call, email us. We have a great website as well, the retirementlifestyleshow.com. We talked about it at the beginning of this year. This is a great way to find things that you're really focused on or want to learn more about. So for example, if you want to learn more about investing, go to our website or search right now how you found it. I'm sure you can find an investing episode that we have a lot of information on. Or let's just say you want to focus more on retirement. We have that as well. So we cover a lot of topics as well, current event topics as well, the economy, markets, investing, artificial intelligence, politics. We really cover it all, and we try to give you a very comprehensive lens of all the things that affect certain areas. And we try to be as objective as possible. And that's our goal in Retirement Lifestyle Show. We want to give you the information. We want to give you the data. We want to do research and give you everything that you need to make an informed decision, just to make you a better person and a better decision maker at the end of the day, because there is a lot going on, and we're here to help, and we're going strong. And we'll be back with another great episode of the Retirement Lifestyle Show.
Schedule a conversation with Roshan, Adrian, or Eric today at retirementlifestyleshow.com. Roshan and Eric are certified financial planner practitioners. They, along with Adrian, are investment advisor representatives and serve clients across the U.S. with financial planning and investment advice through Arete Wealth. If you found this show helpful, gained knowledge, or enjoyed the time you spent with us, tell your friends and leave us a 5-star review. This will help others discover the show. To access our show notes, to download any of the tools mentioned in today's podcast, to ask us a question, or to schedule a conversation, go to retirementlifestyleshow.com. All opinions expressed by podcast hosts and guests are solely their own. While based on information they believe is reliable, neither Arete Wealth nor its affiliates warrants its completeness or accuracy, nor do their opinions reflect the opinion of Arete Wealth. This podcast is for general informational purposes only and should not be regarded as specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Before making any decisions, consult a professional. The show hosts offer investment advice through Arete Wealth Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor, and securities through Arete Wealth Management, LLC, member FINRA, SIPC, and NFA. Finally, our music is The Chance by Jason Shaw and Audionautics. It's part of the YouTube audio library, and it's licensed under a Creative Commons license. I am Ray Voices. Thank you for listening.